myself in you. Now will I beneath the sky, stars and midnight blue.
You're in charge of that part anyway. I don't need to know the details. That's right.
Stars and midnight blue. When tears are in your eyes, it's time to look inside. Your heart can find another Believe in what I say. Don't throw
So just when we thought we were going to calm the energy down, Natalie, could you go get 4 orders of services for the boys? Thanks. And 1 for yourself. And this needs to be adjusted, or I'm going to have to whisper through the whole service. Let's see. So our opening spirit music is Frosty the Snowman. And if you all sing in your normal voice, he'll come to life, but not till next weekend. Thank goodness. If you would stand as you are willing and able. The words are in here. If some of you read, the words are in here. You want that? You don't read? Frosty the Snowman is a fairy tale, they say. He was made of snow, but the children know how he came to life one day. There must have been some magic in that old silk cat he found. For when they placed it on his head, Frosty the Snowman. Would you please be seated? You can sing the second verse in the car on the way home. I love this song. You can just say it.
Welcome. My name is John Benarowitz. I'm a member of the fundraising committee. I'd like to extend a special welcome to our visitors today. If there are any visitors here, you feel free to join us after the service for coffee hour. Today also, special occasion, coffee and I think cookies as well, I've been told. So that's the reason I'm here. So. Oh, and pardon me? Santa Lucia Sweets. So double the pleasure. Yeah. Oh, served by the kids, you said, Natalie? Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay. If you join us downstairs, there should be someone from the membership committee at the table down there if answer any questions you might have. If you feel comfortable as well, if you're a first-time visitor, please stand and let us know how you heard of us. A little something about yourself. We'd like to meet you. Okay. During the service, we have supervised nursery for babies and toddlers. And Natalie, here up front, our religious education coordinator, also has classes for the children and youth. You can see her if you'd like to know more about that. If for any reason you need to leave the service during the service, there are two locations where the service is broadcast in the building, one of which is in the basement, and the other, I think, is down the hall. An usher can direct you. Let us remember that we are a welcoming congregation. We welcome all humans, regardless of race, sexual orientation, belief, and age, even the small children that are fidgety and make noises. On cue. Thank you, Dexter. That's it, and you too. That's right. These little humans are our future, and we welcome them while they are in the meeting house. That's right. All right. I have one announcement right now, and then a second on carrying collection. This year, Christmas Eve, December 24th, is a Sunday. The service that day will be held at 5 p.m. in the evening, not at the usual service time on a Sunday. And now we have an announcement about carrying collection from Marie.
Giant. Good morning, I'm Marie Laurie. I'm with the Social Justice Committee. We are inviting you today to do two actions with us. The first is, as you'll note, there's an envelope in your order of service. We're collecting money for the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. They're working with families and children in immigration detention. Immigration detention it's separate from people who've been swept up by ICE. It's for people who are coming into the country, get to the border, announce themselves, and are immediately put into detention, think prison. There are over 2,000 families, mothers and children in immigration detention at this point. Many of them are unaccompanied minors. They arrive at the border after literally a life-threatening journey. Most of them have been molested on the way and abused. Their families have sent them here knowing that they will get to the border and be put into detention for months or sometimes years. Those are the facts. When I was trying to figure out what to tell you about, I kept trying to think about what it might be to be a child in that situation, to have your family send you off to another country. And I kept coming back to what kind of options do the families have that's the best option they can offer their child. So these are children in horrific circumstances. They are being fed at this point, but that's about it. Health care is an issue in the detention centers. The Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service is trying to make sure that each of these children gets a Christmas of sorts. The money we're collecting will go to them because it's a prison. All gifts have to go from a vetted source, so they order the gifts online. So I think most of the gifts cost around $15. They're soccer balls and teddy bears, standard things. They want every child in detention to get one. And we're asking that you donate toward that. The second thing we're doing is possibly even more important. When you go downstairs for coffee hour, you will see that there are tables set up with card-making supplies. We're asking the kids to help us with their creativity because we've lost some of ours, we adults, to write Christmas cards for these children. They're hoping to get one to to every child or family. There are little inserts in Spanish. Don't panic. You don't have to pull out your high school Spanish to write them. But decorate a card, sign your name and where you're from, just your first name and where you're from. And those will be collected and sent as well. So, and there's a little message of hope in each insert. You know, we're thinking of you. We're there for you. There are cookies and punch and hopefully Christmas carols if I can get the speaker to work for the party. Please join us and have a good time and contribute to this worthy cause.
I preemptively skipped the unison reading. So if we could go back one step in your order of service to the unison reading. This book, number 493. Fire of the Spirit, life of the lives of creatures, spiral of sanctity, bond of all nature, glow of charity, lights of clarity. Taste of sweetness to the fallen, be with us, hear us. Composer of all things, joy in the glory, strong honor, be with us and hear us. And now we're back on schedule. Now please join me in reading today's litany on page 3 of the service, order of service. You could have golden treasure buried beneath your feet and walk over it again and again.
And never find it because you don't realize it is there.
Just so, all beings live every moment in the city of the divine, but never find the divine because it is hidden by the well of illusion.
As we invite people from all circles and corners into our sanctuary place, may we affirm the treasures we discover in one another and the collective energy of joy, action, compassion, and inclusion. And our joy in action has a face to it today, and that is our new member, Ricky Donner. Would you please come up? So Ricky has made this big decision to become an official member, and it is a big decision because in the past decade or beyond, people would come into a Unitarian Universalist church, and especially today, like a day like today, with 3 treats and all warm faces and think, I'm going to join this church next week. Well, over the decades, I think people have taken membership into a little more serious decision making, and Ricky has been with us quite a few months, and she has helped in many ways, and she's going to continue to help with Solstice, and she was helping this morning and participating next week in the service, so she's jumping in with 2 feet, and she already has been warned that some of the committee chairs will be contacting her to be on their committee. And so she will make her decision, as she did in membership, with intention and choose where she'll put some of her energy. Would you please join with me with the words to welcome Ricky officially? We welcome you to our congregation that follows a tradition of over 450 years of Unitarian Universalist history and puts into practice the principles of Unitarian Universalism. We acknowledge your choice to join with us in the life of our free-thinking religious community. Yeah.
I become a member of this congregation, aware of the significant responsibilities of membership. I bring to my new community my talents and enthusiasm, my shortcomings and my doubts. I ask you to direct me into opportunities of service.
You have not chosen an easy path in your spiritual journey. We are equal, share our congregation, and include your strength and courage into our vision. We respect you, we encourage you, we welcome you, and we'll walk with you as we continue on this shared spiritual journey together. May we be deserving of the trust you instill in us, and may we be mutually affirming to one another. This morning, we renew our covenant to justice and love in action. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. So if George Rourke would please stand. He is our membership, George is our membership chair, and he has worked for decades for this congregation, and also he is the person that if there are any visitors that are interested in joining the church, he can let you know when the next new member conversation is and tell you all kinds of history about the church if you have time. So thank you, George, for your service. All right, and I'm going to give you something. So here's our Chosen Faith book. If somebody has interest in reading this book and hasn't read it, that is a member or visitor, please see me or George after service. And this is our new UU World magazine that is for new members, and it gives kind of a summary about Unitarian Universalism and its 500 years of history. So congratulations. Welcome aboard. So I'm going to invite the children and Natalie up. No, thank you. So I'm going to teach you, I think this is a French word, is S-A-N-S is a French word, sans, yes.
Did you say something about sweets later?
Yes, I did. Would you like me to repeat it because you don't remember it? Oh, I have something. Have a seat. I'll work it into the story. Thank you, Dante. Hi, how are you? So here's what I want to say about sweets. Natalie's going to love this. If everything goes wonderfully in your religious education class, you might get to have an extra sweet today. Okay, but in combination with the sweets, what's going to happen is you're going to have another craft by making those cards. So you're going to have a little bit of sweets and a little bit of craft. Excuse me, I have something I think I have to take care of here. Did you ever hear this saying about Santa? He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Sometimes ministers have those superpowers. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you didn't wear your name tag. I see a lot of name tags out there. So here you go, Dexter. So this is the beginning of the class going on. I love it, Holden. Thank you. So this is the beginning of a season for our Christian friends, and we have a lot of people at our schools and in our families that practice Christianity, and they're looking forward to Christmas because that's the day Jesus was born. And we're all looking forward to Christmas for other reasons, maybe that reason plus other reasons. Our families will get together. And so this is the season of Advent, and it means the coming, it means preparation, Will and Holden, and it means waiting. So I want to show you what Reverend Leonetta does when she's waiting. And I want you to think about what you do when you're waiting. Sometimes when I'm waiting, I knit and knit and knit and knit and knit. I don't purl and I don't follow directions. I just knit and knit and knit and knit. And then I come up with these really long things, and then I find Marie Laurie, and she helps me take it off the needles, and then we give it to somebody. So we'll see how that goes. I want you to think about what you do when you're waiting. Elliot, what do you do when you're waiting? Sometimes Reverend Leonetta colors. I think I'm going to give these coloring sheets to Natalie. Okay, Natalie? And maybe she'll pass them out in class. Sometimes I read, and sometimes I write, and sometimes I get really quiet when I'm waiting, and I just think of things. Think of things in my own mind. So I'm going to teach you something today. I'm going to teach all of you something today, okay? So take your hand, your right or your left hand, it doesn't matter, and put your index finger, that one, the pointer finger, and your thumb together, and then we're going to go through our fingers like this. Boom, 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 boom. So we're going to say, I am waiting quietly. And then we're going to say, we are waiting quietly. So for a minute, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to think of all the special twinkling thoughts that we have that we're waiting for in the things that we're going to be quiet about. And we're going to say, I am waiting quietly. Now close your eyes for just a minute. Yeah, quietly. We're going to just breathe in and out real quietly. Okay, you can open your eyes. So sometimes when you're doing classes for those kids that are doing homeschool, or sometimes when you're in school, or sometimes when you're in the shopping mall and everybody's getting really loud, sometimes you can just say, I am waiting quietly. You have so much power in your own mind. Yes, Dexter, are you telling me something or just showing me your finger? Oh, what happened? Well, I'm glad it's healing. It looks like it's healing. You probably are too grown up, you don't call it. Oh, it was from that? Well, that was talented beyond description. So, but try not to do it again, okay? So somebody is going to carry the chalice, Natalie. Do you know who? I think, Dexter, it's your turn. Dexter, come here a minute. Let me whisper something in your ear. You need both hands to carry the chalice, please. Okay. All right. And I think we have a song to sing. Can somebody give me a clue? Oh, and it's number 225. We're going to sing this song as Dexter leads the children out to Sunday school. He's going to play on that name tag all the time today. He's going to, good luck. Come on, come, Emmanuel. As we take this morning's offering, I want to remind you that it's Caring Sunday, so please look at the envelopes, and if you're going to make checks out, to make them out to the Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service. And you can put them in the plate as we take this morning's offering that goes to continue to support this congregation, a liberal bastion of faith, if you will, in this part of the Detroit area. As we draw our attention to joys and sorrows and concerns, we did want to acknowledge the tragedy that occurred on November 27th. It was the deadliest attack in Egypt's modern history, as 305 Sufi Muslims were killed. And although we try not to overly politicize things here, during the church service, we do have different groups, and I know our conversations during coffee hour do go to world events, and so I'm going to light this candle for those people that lost our lives. So many of you are familiar with Sufism, and it is the very spiritual side of the Muslim faith that encourages a personal connection to the Most Holy. And some other Muslims feel that that is a threat to the main teachings. And so these occurrences are totally unnecessary, and then was upon one of the most spiritual and connected groups in the Muslim faith. I also would like to draw your attention to a joy. And last year we did not have a solstice, but the sun came back anyway. Wasn't that amazing? This year, maybe when we have our solstice, it'll make it come back even sooner. So we will have our solstice on Friday, December 22nd at 7 p.m. And we hope that you can invite family and friends to join us. And I am also going to remind you that Barb Windsor is going to be singing the night before on a Thursday at 6 p.m. in a choir concert. And so you can either see Barb or you can talk to me afterwards. Barb is in the back, and get directions on how to carpool to hear the lovely voices. Right. So we broke the rules a little bit there. Those were kind of announcements. Snuck in. But if you have a joy or a sorrow, I invite you to come up and share it from the microphone.
Me again. I have two joys. For those who are following the Freedom House news, I'm pleased to report that our little friend Drennan, who we had the party for, is healthy and happy, and he and his mother were at Thanksgiving with my family, and in a bizarre Thanksgiving miracle, we all agreed on something. We decided he's perfect. So he's doing very well. And I'm also pleased to report that our newest little citizen arrived yesterday morning at 8:06. As yet unnamed little boy was 7 pounds some ounces. Both he and his mom are doing well.
How wonderful.
I'm Mike Murphy. I first want to recognize Pearl Harbor Day coming up on December 7th. Tragic time. Also, we were down at Noel night last night over by the DIA and other places, and it was really a super evening. Lots and lots of people, and we found out later that night that there was a tragedy there, which really angers me. But my heart goes out to it because as somebody that grew up in Detroit and stayed in Detroit and moved to Palmer Park when everybody else is moving out, I like to see Detroit celebrating the way it did last night.
3 teens were shot, but we understand that they're going to be released shortly, and so we're glad that it wasn't any worse.
Hi, Sarah. Got a sorrow. About 10 years ago, my husband and I welcomed and rescued an amazing weird dog into our lives, a Corgi Shepherd mix. He took our family growing in stride and was such a faithful friend. And fortunately, Friday night, his stomach twisted and we had to rush him to the emergency vet and have him put down. So if you could keep us, and especially my children, as they deal with the first significant loss of their lives, if you can keep us in your thoughts going forward, please.
Sorry, Sarah. Oh. And this candle is for all those joys and sorrows and struggles that some of you may be going through and have not brought voice to. You may find a connection during our coffee hour to talk to somebody today, and we hope that you can. I would like to continue with this pause, and if you would close your eyes for just a few moments. We did practice this when the children were here, and coming up in March, we're going to practice meditation during our Sunday services a little bit more before the service. So I would like to give those that have very long lists of to-do things in the next few weeks, or are struggling with how to care for themselves or their loved ones and friends around them, to have this pause where you imagine your mind as a little chalkboard and you have the old-fashioned eraser, and when a thought comes to your mind, you just take that eraser and erase the thought, and let the next thought come up and erase the thought, and continue to do this until the thoughts come a little more slowly and that you have a couple of more moments of peacefulness. It will be these gifts of silences between the joyful noises that hold us peacefully through the upcoming weeks. May we continue to take our pauses when we need them, remove ourselves from the hecticness, and sometimes go outside on a front porch with a jacket on and just breathe in and breathe out and reconnect to our center. So be it. Francis Anderson wrote this little piece about hope for this month. Will I have time to walk a bit alone along a winding road? Or shall I bend beneath my Christmas load and never think of taking that pause? Will I have time to turn toward a star, or if you're lucky enough, the full moon? silently watching from afar, sending me with no price tag the ray of hope that can be unending. Will I take that moment and find that moment? Will I be able to find myself within all of this and possibly even be reborn to new perspective? And Wu Men wrote these words: 10,000 flowers in the spring, the moon in autumn, a cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind isn't clouded by unnecessary things, this is the best season of your life. So here we go into this time of the next 21 days. It's time to get your house remodeled with new carpet and put furniture and paint up and purchase and wrap all the gifts for everyone, from the teacher to the minister to the mail carrier. I'm just kidding. I don't need anything but you. And our special persons list of moms and dads and siblings and partners, be sure to eat right, because you have to look the best in the holiday outfits, and then prepare homemade sweet delights and that extra dish for the parties with co-workers and friends from this congregation and family. Whew! That's why I gave you an extra meditation this morning. And maybe now you're going to want to unplug the Christmas machine and get off the holiday merry-go-round before motion sickness overwhelms you. Unplugging the Christmas Machine, a complete guide to putting love and joy back into the season, was a book that was published back in 1991 by Joe Robinson and Jean Stohile. It also has been a model for a week-long workshop. Maybe we should do that sometime. But we have to do it in November before if the calendar gets too frantic. We get some abbreviated examples of living with joy and balance from this book. The authors suggest that holidays are particularly challenged for any of us in transition or dealing with recent loss, including puppies. Divorce, separation, deaths in the family. This may be the first year without your spouse or your mom or your dad or a grandparent. You may be in the middle of a job transition. And some of us, due to political angst, actually are estranged from our families, and so that is a special challenge for us. How we approach this last month of the year so that December can become a time to fulfill ourselves internally instead of what it has turned into, this universal wish that we end the year with a festival of renewing kindness and faith, but to the point that it's so exhausting. This isn't the time that we have to end everything in perfection. This is the time that we accept each other with compassion. So when we stare December squarely in the face, say, let's be friends and simplify our time. Daniel Bell is a sociologist, and he explains that the United States has suffered from cultural contradictions of capitalism. That Protestant traditional ethic that encouraged us to deny ourselves and then sacrifice for the future has been given way to a material monster. My daughter-in-law yesterday, she looked at all of us in the family. She said, it's very hard to buy presents for anyone in this family because they seem to buy what they need for themselves along the way. And she looked at a couple of us quite with a lot of blame and frustration, if you will. This ethic of consumption, consumerism, that is based on immediate gratification. We have this insatiable appetite for material goods, power, and pleasure, because those who die with the most toys win, or maybe those who die with the best Christmas lights on their block wins. This connection between our nation state of melancholy and this erosion of who we are as individuals and the national confidence caused by economic insecurity and the moral ambiguity, if you will,
tends to isolate us away from each other and our attachments. There is fear, there is anger, there is grief that have devastated families, have also turned into communities that are actual social ghost towns. The example here would be, for some of us, we don't know the first names of our neighbors, even if we've lived in a neighborhood for decades. And there is some kind of connection that is to be made, and all it takes sometimes is a knock on the door and delivering a bowl of bean soup. I did that this week with apologies because it didn't have any salt in it. But it's fun to doctor out somebody else's soup. One of the great concerns of the 1990s when this book was written was this loss of civic virtues that once glued society today together, and I think it still applies. Tocqueville spoke of, in the 19th century in Democracy in America, that there's a central role that voluntary and religious and charitable associations in America play. But in the past years, there has been a decline in church attendance, in YMCAs, elk clubs, the Red Cross, and some of the vet groups. Similar to that, the social equilibrium has come out of balance. Sometimes we've had to compete with sporting events for our children or practices on, and then you put on 2 or 3 bracelets and maybe a brooch, and you should take at least 4 of those things off. And so maybe the holiday can come down to a simple subtraction problem. So think of what you usually do and how many boxes you usually unpack of decorations, and leave one of them in the storage unit or in the basement. And it might be the one with the Santa Claus in it or the penguins in it. My penguins aren't up this year yet. And maybe it will save you 2 hours of sanity. And maybe you can just put the Christmas tree up with the lights and no ornaments. Then you can leave it up all winter long. Maybe there are 4 people that you can take off the holiday list of buying a present and inviting them through an email to experience something with you. Maybe to go to a play, maybe to go to a tea, maybe to come to some kind of event that you've heard about that you would like to enjoy that experience. Maybe you can bake your cookies and make a trade, that you would bake somebody's Christmas cookies and deliver them to them, and they would help watch your toddler for an afternoon. That would be amazing. None of you realize that once you had 2 children, that list of people that would offer to help watch the kids would decrease by 4 people. It changes dramatically. In her address called A New Order of the Ages, author Marianne Williamson, that some of you are familiar with, stated that lessons in this life can be learned through joy or through pain. Learning the actualized love within a spiritual process that allows love to stretch through space and time can be learned by joy or pain. Examples of the universe providing these lessons include where we are irresponsible towards our material resources. The universe is invested in teaching us this art of stewardship. And according to some who study the Course in Miracles teachings, these lessons will continue to come up until you learn them. That's not just from the Course in Miracles. You probably heard that from your parents or grandparents. If you don't learn, the lesson's going to show up again. So when will we as Americans learn a lesson, whether it be a joy or a pain to us? So some of that means that you proactively make a decision. That worldview of an economic system that's predicated on a goal of a short-term economic gain for a privileged few, or can we take a quantum leap into a new stage of growth where we can embrace what we're doing today helping families and humanitarian concerns, and create a civilization that makes sense based on our values. So we talk about the baby Jesus being born. And this idea came to me, it came to me a couple of years ago. And we have this holiday called Christmas. And it has turned into gluttony and overspending. Where do we get $500 to $1,000 extra dollars in December? I don't know how that happens, because that's what most of us are going to spend, even if we've had a very moderate list to stretch our money around. So where do we get that? Often you get it by going into debt. Where do we get to that place where we encourage our families and we try to eat right, but because the baby Jesus was born, we're going to spend at least 2,000 extra calories on meals for a week leading up to his birth. And then, of course, there's New Year's. And so the values don't quite make sense. Years ago, it was different, because when we drove up and down the road, we didn't see options for artichoke dip at every corner. So you could have artichoke dip. Now we can have it Monday through Sunday. We don't have to wait for the holidays. And so we have shifted as a culture that we have so much available to us. How do we make choices that make sense? So that might mean putting the cheesy hash brown potato recipe back into the file folder and doing something like roasted potatoes with garlic. I'm getting hungry, I think. All right, now I'm going to attack Christmas cards. How many already sent out your Christmas cards? Raise your hand if you have. Raise your hand if you have decided not to send Christmas cards. Oh, this congregation is so evolved. So the Christmas cards were invented back in the 1800s by Sir somebody, I think Henry Scott, maybe somebody. I have it right here on my phone. I do, actually. Oh, and I've had a missed call. Do you mind if I take it? Perfect. The Christmas card was invented so that the regular postal service could be available to normal, common people. And so this man came up with this idea, talked to an artist, and said, wouldn't this be lovely if we could encourage people to send out Christmas cards? And so they designed a beautiful tri-fold Christmas card. And in the center was a picture of a family eating an abundant Christmas meal. And then on the ends were other depictions of people being in service to one another in charity work. And so wasn't that perfect, a perfect balance? Now some people with that original card had a little bit of an upset because at the dinner table, all the children were being served wine as well as the adults. But that is for another sermon that we will approach that. So how do you make these holidays stay intact? So I want you to think about right now, think about something that you can change. Think about one thing that you could change in your holiday that could buy back your sanity. And I'm going to give another advertisement to this, solstice. 27 years ago, when I became a minister, I discovered solstice. I was raised a good Catholic girl. We didn't talk about pagan holidays in the Catholic Church. But when I heard about solstice, the first day of winter, ancient peoples celebrating around bonfires outside, no one particular story to have to adhere to, no guilt, no presents needed, just a snowflake in a poem. It was so lovely. And so I applied my overabundance of energy and creativity to 27 solstices that are much more than just a snowflake in a poem. But what a wonderful day to celebrate. Midwinter, winter starting, winter beginning, nature, natural, no guilt. So I'm going to do what I don't often do, and we don't call it talk back here. How many of you raised teenagers before? How many of you were a teenager before? We don't need to talk back. Reverend Leonetta's worked hard on her service today. All we need to do is have a dialogue. So I wonder if there are a couple of you that could give us a very shortly stated idea of what you have done to regain your sanity in your Christmas plans. Elizabeth.
So two things we've done with my family in the last couple of years. I have two little boys, as you can tell. They're the two littlest ones in the family, grandkids both sides, so the presents become overwhelming. So a couple years ago, we asked family members if they would offer experiences rather than gifts. So they've taken my kids to basketball games or to a museum or to even to the park, and that's turned out great. And then the second thing, my dad a couple years ago to simplify, did make it, bake it, grow it, or sew it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And we've got both sides of my family, my husband's family as well. Everybody DIYs something, and there's a lot less stealing and trading because everybody likes what's been made. So we've had freezer meals, we've had athletic decorations, we've had candy dishes, and all kinds of things, art and everything.
Cool. And Patrice?
So just this year, we made a decision that instead of everybody buying something for everybody else, and Christmas is all about all these presents, we made the decision to, all the adults will bring a mystery gift for another adult, and all the kids will bring a mystery gift for the kids. So we're gonna have two different tables, and we're just gonna have, you can't take the gift that you brought. You just take another gift. So it's just gonna be a mystery gift table, whatever you can afford, and it doesn't matter if it's a silly gift, it doesn't matter if it's a nice gift. We just decided to do that, have no idea how it's gonna turn out yet.
Fun. Anybody else? Yeah, Linda.
We have a friend who, it's not me, so I can't take credit for this. We have a friend who donates to a charity of our choice. That's our gift.
This entire side doesn't have one idea. And I was speaking mostly to you. Just because you're in front of me. What was that, Richard? Oh, good. You're taking notes. Well, hopefully all of you will come up with an idea how to simplify and not to go broke, and to honor the meringue cookie recipes. Sometimes give them just 2 cookies at a time. That's what we're doing. So if you come out to Sterling Heights and you break into one of our trunks, probably my husband's trunk, there will always be some Christmas cookies going back and forth to his work so no one at our house eats them. I think our cat has a sweet tooth. These words from the Navajo First Nations. Beauty will come in the dawn, and beauty will come with the sunlight, and beauty will come to us from everywhere. Where the heaven ends and where the sky ends, beauty will surround us. We will walk in beauty. You decide how you walk in beauty. You decide that you do not have to be an exhausted wreck, but that you can also find peace in the upcoming holiday. We look forward to next week. The children are going to be presenting some symbols for the holidays, and it will give us opportunity to sing some more carols. But Diana told me that it is a tradition during next week, next week is All Music Sunday. Invite your friends, invite the male person, invite everyone, and you will sing and you will hear beautiful music. Carols. Our carol, White Christmas. You can remain seated. It's listed on page 7.
built on hope.
Ancient peoples were afraid when the days continued to grow shorter and the land remained fallow. The rituals were symbolic, and they all had the symbolic nature of hope. May that be the message that you carry in your voices, in your opinions, in your interpretations, and in your beautiful rituals. Have a wonderful week.